After a 14-point lead, the Arizona Cardinals blow yet another opener. Is this deja vu, gentlemen? Your post-game show with PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hello and welcome in. It's your PHNX Cardinals post-game show live from Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. Johnny Venerable, Brack, the playmaker, Brittan Golden. The Arizona Cardinals fall after blowing a 14-point lead to the Buffalo Bills. This show, of course, is brought to you by our fine friends, our partners at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why. It's never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. One of my anytime touchdowns. It did hit today with our friends, but we're not going to talk about that off the top of the show. The Arizona Cardinals, for the second consecutive season under JG, blow a big first half lead in the opener on the road. Cardinals eventually falling to the Buffalo Bills 34-28, despite having numerous opportunities to take the lead late in that game, Bo.
Yeah, they had their chances, absolutely. There was an opportunity, a legacy drive for their franchise quarterback to make an immediate statement, and missed it, right? And missed, your top pick as well.
Yeah.
Looked like, as we're seeing some replays make their way to the Twitter streets and that were featured on the broadcast. It's unfortunate. Like, you wanted to go in there and play with the Buffalo Bills. You absolutely did. But, like, as in any case, Brittan, when you come away with the loss, you're going to be picking up the pieces and figuring out what went wrong, and there's plenty to kind of dissect there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tale of two halves. You look at the first half, the Cardinals came out, they controlled the clock, they controlled the football, they got points every time they drove down the field. We talked about it at halftime, saying if they could duplicate that first half, they can walk out of here with a win, and they did not do that in the second half. They turned the ball over in the second half. They went 3 and out in the second half. It was just we didn't complete passes. We weren't running the football the same. I think some of the play calls were not great there at the end. I mean, it's like we just got away from what was working, trying to do too much, and it didn't work out at all.
I was fully prepared to come on this post-game show and put a lot of the blame on the defense, and I still, to some degree, think that they have to shoulder a cost of this loss, but the offense really, outside of those first couple possessions in the first half, didn't do much. Now, it's not their fault they got gifted a kick return touchdown by DJ Dallas, who we're going to talk about later in the show. 1 3-point drive in the second half for the Cardinals offense. And again, they had 2 opportunities to take the lead with two possessions, couldn't get it done. Came away with 0 points in both efforts. And again, it's not just on the quarterback. Kyler Murray could have certainly played better. You're missing now Jonah Williams. We don't know the extent of his injury. Kelvin Beachum had a tough day. But, I mean, it comes down to this. The Cardinals used their premier resource this offseason to spend the 4th overall pick on a generational receiver. And I'm not just talking about the end of the game, but just in general. Your top 2 receivers had 2 catches for 9 yards. That's a byproduct, I believe, of this Drew Petzing offense right now. It was a problem at the end of last year when too many times we'd look at the box score and we would say, it's just receivers and tight ends leading this team because they don't have the receivers yet.
Yeah.
We spent this entire offseason was talking about how this receiving core was going to set the world on fire. You were loaded. You were jacked at this position. Where was that passing game today? And again, maybe I'm naive. Maybe it was all on Kyler Murray. We'll have to go and watch the tape. We're going to have to hear from the head coach himself, which we will in Buffalo, Bo. But right now, I just look at this was an imperfect product, and it's unfortunate because the Buffalo Bills gave you multiple opportunities to be beat. This was a beatable team today.
Yeah, it was. We talked about how they were vulnerable, and they certainly showed where their vulnerabilities are. And the Cardinals were sitting there with the ball in their hands and a chance to drive down and score.
Yeah.
And you had 2 missed opportunities, 2 of those big playmakers that we were so excited about. The pass goes through the hands of Michael Wilson, and then we're seeing over and over again the big replay right now is where Kyler Murray was under duress, and there was Marvin Harrison Jr. streaking, looks like undefended almost to the end zone. But look, a lot goes into that. It's not as simple as, hey, you need to make that play. he's got a defender bearing down on him in one step away from making a play. But, yeah, I mean, talk about the tale of two different halves. The offense was rolling in half one, 3 for 3 as far as drives and collecting points off those drives, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. But in the second half, it was the exact opposite. The Cardinals dominated the time in the possession in the first half. The Bills end up overtaking them by the end of the game.
Shocking.
I mean, it was just what the Cardinals were able to accomplish in the first half. The Bills did that in the second half, and it's just really unfortunate. And the Cardinals they did get those bend don't break stops that you had to kind of grade on a curve for, because the defense before that was just giving up points.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Bills were scoring at will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they found a way to put themselves in a position to potentially win this game, but come up short. And, you've got a lot of things that you want to clean up because, it doesn't get any easier here on the fly. You got another 2023 playoff team and a good quarterback and a decent and a good offense coming your way to town next week.
Yeah, I mean, Brittan, that's why we've emphasized all offseason. If you're able to steal this game in Buffalo, which they were unable to do, it gives you a little bit of breathing room. But to my co-host's point, now you've got the Rams, and you've got the Detroit Lions, and then a couple weeks after that, San Francisco and Green Bay. I mean, I get the mindset of people saying this is a rebuild. You got to, ease into this thing. I think there has to be a better sense of urgency from this team, especially let's just look at the defense for the most part in the second half. It was a really tough watch, and I'm not going to put it on a lot of the players that were out there, but just from a personnel standpoint, I mean, the Cardinals, I think it's fair to question, do they have the horses to hang defensively for 17 games this year?
Well, we talked about it pregame about a pass rush, and it's just non-existent.
No.
You have no – Josh Allen was standing back there with all kinds of time, and even when he was under duress, it was a missed sack or an overrun on a sack, which just gets him out of the pocket. Now, we talked about it off air. Josh Allen outside of the pocket is a problem.
Yeah.
He's 250 pounds, and he's 6'5", and he can move. Like, he can run, he can throw it, and he did. He attacked this defense, which we talked about how good the secondary is for the Cardinals, how good they can be. But it's really hard to cover a guy for 10 to 15 seconds while he's running back there and has no problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the pass rush has got to – that's going to be your biggest emphasis. You've got to find ways to get in the backfield, because if you don't and you give quarterbacks in the NFL time, I don't care who it is. There's 32 teams with an NFL quarterback back there. If you give them time, they can make plays. So,
well, you have your opportunities to get home. A play that stands out to me, Owen Papo came on the inside linebacker blitz, and he had just a free shot at Josh Allen. He can't get him down, and that's you give him any extra time to extend a play and make a play, he's going to do it. I mean, that's what makes Josh Allen so good. You can't crush Zaven Collins for the play at the end of the first half. It looked like he just had a sack of Josh Allen. He gets flagged up. That extends the drive. And what happens in those situations, it turns into Buffalo Bills points. And it's just your margin for error is zero, if not, at a deficit. And the Arizona Cardinals, credit to them to making this a game. But at the same time, you feel like, hey, man, there was so many opportunities to get something done on both sides of the football, and you're trying to figure out, all right, how do you fix it on the fly? One thing that's going to be nice is that Matthew Stafford's not going to make a lot of those plays that Josh Allen did.
You're not going to have to worry too much about out of the pocket.
But he can pick you apart in the pocket.
Yeah,
and at no point did it feel like the pocket was ever collapsing on Josh Allen today. And, again, we got all show to complain about this pass rush.
That's not who you want sitting back there in a clean pocket.
No.
When Matthew Stafford sitting in a clean pocket will take you to church.
I mean, the Cardinals are starting, or it seemed like, Xavier Thomas, a fifth-round rookie at pass rusher. I mean, what are we doing here? I'll tell you what we are going to do. Sanderson Ford drive of the game. Football is back, and so are the deals at Arizona's largest Ford dealership. Shop America's most awarded Ford dealership with no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense. Of course, the drive, or not so much of the game, was the final possession for the Arizona Cardinals, where time after time it looked like, okay, picking up first downs, methodical, a couple nice passes to Greg Dortch and Trey McBride. No Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's have a conversation about MHJ. I tweeted this out before the show started. I came up to you at halftime. I'm like, yeah, that preseason, gibberish by me probably, looks ridiculous now. They didn't need a preseason. They look great. And then in the second half, you could tell, there is, right now, from what I've seen after one game, no chemistry from Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray in this offense. They could look great on turf. They can look great at UCLA. They can look great in practice. But game reps together, it's a big goose egg so far.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this. I hesitated to an extent. I wasn't expecting just one catch for 4 yards and also a drop pass that would have been a bigger play that would have been his first career reception in Marvin Harrison Jr. That this is such a rhythm and timing offense.
Yeah.
And it was not there. They weren't in sync. And, they paid for it where you got no production from a player that you had high expectations to go out there from day one and make an impact on the game. One catch for 4 yards. That's just not getting enough from, your big-time playmaker in Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, you'd be hard-pressed to look back. I mean, this has got to be the quietest game he's ever had probably since putting on pads in his career,
I mean, it's one of those things where you sit back and think, like, why was there not an emphasis to find ways to get him the ball early, right? Yeah, he had that drop, and Kyler came right back to him the very next play.
Yeah.
That was his, one catch for 4 yards. But I don't understand why you don't start the game doing things like that, right? He's a rookie. This is his first actual game. Get the ball in his hands early. Find him. Run hitch routes. Run slant routes. Do short, intermediate routes to where he can get open and get the ball in his hands and make a play after that. And that's where I don't think the confidence was there. Not saying he's not confident, but that drop looked nervous.
Yeah.
It looked like
But that was early in the game, too.
It looked like, hey, because the very next play went right back to him, and there was no chance he was using his hands to catch that football. He was just trapping it against his chest. It was one of those where it's like, did you get nervous? Did the moment get too big for you right there? Right? And I don't think you can get away with it. I think they got away from trying to get the ball in the playmaker's hands at that point.
I think so, too, and I think the excuses about the wind, I mean, it didn't seem to impact Josh Allen throwing the football all over the place to Keon Coleman and a bunch of his no-name receivers that we spent the better part of this week making fun of.
He averaged 10 yards per completion.
Yeah, I mean Kyler Murray had half of that. Kyler Murray, most of his passing yards, he finished with 162, came in the first half. And, again, at the end of the day, like, the Arizona Cardinals are built, yes, to run the football, but to have opportunities at the end of games, score points fast. It wasn't there.
Let's talk about this last drive because it is the Sanderson 4 drive of the game. And just, you see some good plays, as we always do from Greg Dortch. It seemed like there's some easy throws there. That connection seemed strong. Obviously, the two at the end of the game, you're looking for a little laundry in those. I mean, you're not going to put it up, all on the officials here, but, it was just an out of sorts. You just didn't feel like there was any rhythm to that offense from a play calling standpoint to a playmaking standpoint. As we mentioned, the misconnection between K1 and Wilson down the sideline, that would have been a huge play. And then you've got this third and 10 and a run play? Yeah. I mean, that's inexcusable right there.
Horrible. I mean, I don't know what you were thinking. I mean, it looked like they were just trying to run a draw. Try to set it up, like spread them out like it's a pass and try to get 6, 7. I mean, if it works and you get 6, 7, 8 yards on that run, we're probably sitting here thinking that was a hell of a play call. But I mean, the fact is that's going to work 1 out of 10 times in a situation like that. I think you've got even if you're going to run the ball, find a way to get it in Kyler's hands and get him on the perimeter.
2 key possessions in the red zone. Drew Petzing, instead of letting Kyler Murray have the football on 3rd down earlier in the 4th quarter and at the end of the game, took the ball out of Kyler Murray's hands. Did you see that happening with Buffalo and Josh Allen? And again, like I don't think it's a situation. I see people speculating, he doesn't trust Kyler Murray. Of course they do. I think it's as simple as just bad play calling. I think he outthought the room. He thought, we're a running team. The run game had not been working much at all in the second half. You needed to spread them out and utilize all of your bevy of resources at playmakers that we've been talking about for 4 months here.
Right.
Greg Dortch, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. Single them up. Ask your offensive line to protect for 3 to 5 seconds and find somebody open. And instead it's like, we're going to defer on 3rd and 6 or whatever it is to just basically 4th down and put ourselves in a position. By the way, I don't know if that was pass interference or not. That's not the play. It's not a winning play for me. That is not a high percentage play for me in 2024. And I love Greg Dortch, part of this network once upon a time. A jump ball to 2 defenders. Am I watching Cliff Kingsbury out there? If you're going to do a jump ball, you got 3 other guys in this offense that are over 6 foot in Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, and of course Marvin Harrison Jr. That play felt predetermined. We're going to set Greg out wide. Again, like you had a lot of mojo in the first half thinking, okay, we're on the same page. This offense is clicking. The second half looked like missed opportunities from a passing game that needed time in August against other teams to work on their refinement. Look at Xavier Worthy for the Kansas City Chiefs. Got preseason reps. Their offense played a little bit. And now in the second half, when you pulled Drew Petzing off script and Kyler Murray go run the 2-minute offense, you got a new receiver. We got some new pieces to integrate. Couldn't do it. Didn't look good enough. And I preface all that by saying it's going to get there. This was a winnable game. And we look back in December and January, and this team, it's like, oh, man, I really wish we could have won that Buffalo game. Where was the sense of urgency to have these guys ready to go? The passing game is not good enough right now. You got to get it to a point where, like, can we win a shootout? Because right now with this defense, Bo, you're going to have to win some shootouts.
Yeah, yep. And that was expected, right? But to the extent in which we saw it play out, where you just couldn't, and I know Josh Allen is otherworldly a lot of the time, not just at times, but you felt like even 3rd and 9, you're like, man, are they going to be able to get off the field?
Yeah.
And consistently,
no doubt,
he's moving the chains. So they are going to have to really, on the fly, get creative here and figure out ways to get off the field. You know, it was nice getting the turnover, forcing the fumble, but, like, it was a far cry from that, you know, by the time that the whistle blew to start to kick off to the second half. Because then it was just a completely different ball game. And the Buffalo Bills did a good job as far as weathering the storm early on and getting them in a position to go into the locker room and then kind of build some momentum and then just kind of holding on for dear life, which is good. Like, I know people are pissed off about this, but, you know, there was an opportunity to win this game down
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times, and just didn't get the job done. And, you know, that's what's going to piss off this fan base, and that's what's going to put under a microscope your flaws. And that's what's going to be on full display here in a loss.
Nobody, Brittan, wants to hear the word rebuild week one after a game that was very winnable for you, and maybe you didn't use all your resources to put the best 53-man roster out in front of your fan base. That's disappointing. But I just have no appetite to sit here and say, like, yeah, it's a long season, and yeah, this is a game you could have won, but no big deal. It's an AFC team. Like, their schedule plays a part in it. They play a lot of really good teams for the first 2 months of the season. Like, these games, I see it in the chat. People are tired of losing, and secondly, like, they're tired of losing in the way that this team has been to open up 2 consecutive years where you've got leads, you can't hold them.
Yeah, I mean, at one point you had a 14-point lead in the first half, right? They score at the end of the first half and make it a 7-point game. But, I mean, we talked about it multiple times. You cannot go out in the first half and be lights out and then show up in the third quarter and just forget what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I think we just offensively for sure, they got away from the script. They got away from what was working, and they tried to do some extra things. And it's bringing, like you said, a loss in the opening game in games that you should have easily won. They should have easily won this game. They controlled the clock in the first half. They controlled the entire game the first half.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing last year in Washington. You controlled the game with a backup quarterback. You were winning the game with a backup quarterback, and you lose it. Turnovers or whatever you want to call it. But it was the same this week. You can't go out, and you have to play 2 halves. That's the name of this game. Like, 30 minutes doesn't do anything for you.
At least resemble some of what you saw in the first half, where it wasn't. It was, you know, Bills come out, they score easily, and then your offense is 3 and out. Like, the first half, your 3 possessions were 10 plays, 13 plays, and like 12 and 13 plays. And then it was 3 plays. It's like you knew, like, the team knew that. They had 0 margin for error. Like, they came out and they put together and orchestrated great double-digit play scoring drives, and then when they couldn't let it happen, they sustained, the catastrophic 3 and out that put the Bills right back in the driver's seat. And you're playing from behind at that point, and it's not where you want to be. And, like, credit to the team for putting themselves in a position to win that game, but you would much rather be kind of in the catbird seat with the lead.
Was hard to pick. Kyler Murray, though, the X-Factor player of the game for the Arizona Cardinals. Statistically, almost over 200 total yards. The 1 strip sack turnover, but did have a touchdown pass so early in the game. Quarterback rating of 91 in this one.
Yeah.
And
Can we just put first half Kyler?
Yeah. First
16
half.
for 19, 131, a touchdown, 29 yards on the
It
ground.
looked good.
Yeah.
It
That was
looked
great.
good in the first half.
But then you look at the total numbers, 162, just 5 completions after that.
Yeah.
And he did have that one run on third down looked like it could have been game saving. It did turn into points, but yeah, I mean, it's this is not one of the times you want to start highlighting great performances when you just feel like the entire team just didn't get the job done.
I mean, I think if you wanted to pick somebody else, maybe a DJ Dallas
Sure.
for the kick return. I mean, I really thought at that point the Cardinals get that kick return. Buffalo comes out and has to punt the football. There was momentum with the Cardinals there. They didn't do anything with it. Then the next possession, Buffalo gets down inside their own 50, inside the Cardinals 50, has to kick a field goal. Cardinals get the ball back. I mean, it's tough today because 17-3, I posted on Twitter, you got to find a way to win these kind of games. I've seen Kyler Murray do it before. I know he can do it again. And I don't want to come on here and discount the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they've won the AFC East how many years in a row? They have a culture that the Cardinals would love to emulate. They're a team that's consistently in the postseason picture, deep into the postseason, divisional rounds, AFC championship games. But at the same time, gentlemen, this is also a Buffalo team that had a lot of turnover this offseason. New coordinator, new pieces in the passing game, and you had them on the ropes early on and then just allowed them to come back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it in perspective, it'll make you even angry. I'm not going to be that person to do that.
Yeah.
This is a Bills team that's it's always got high expectations, and because of their quarterback, it's always going to be there. But this was when you have a chance to win, and as Johnny's pointed out multiple times, you're gonna be upset. You're gonna be furious, as you should be. And
You
people
have
are
to win these.
looking. Yeah, you got to win these games. But coming off a 4-win per season, like you can't. Like when you have the chance to capitalize and get the dub, you got to get the dub in order to start changing the narrative. Where people are just going to throw their hands up and like, oh, same old team, same old. It doesn't matter. You just change the characters in it, but it's the same. It's the same plot.
This is not the same plot here. Either River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. We had a banner day, despite the Cardinals fumbling this game away. Great time, great food, great vibes. Had the nachos. Some of the wings were fantastic. Mozzarella sticks.
Some
and
of
more.
the wings, all the wings.
All the wings. Wild Horse Pass. I mean, the flavor that I had, I didn't see. Other people had different options, but the options are plentiful here. Wild Horse Pass. Any of their 4 locations. Either River Resorts does it. Your premier sportsbook here in Arizona, by the way. 4,500 slots, table games, sportsbook. Get your hard copy tickets here, cashing in. I know my guy Shane Diefenbach was over there making bets on site. Damon Dawg was over there dabbling. It's a great time. Looking for a staycation here in Arizona, you can't go wrong. They've got Prime Shula Steakhouse here on the rooftop restaurant. Still able to swim here in the valley. Tons of good stuff, and you rest assured, despite what the Cardinals may or may not be doing on Sundays, we're going to be here every single away game with our watch party, as well as upcoming events with our PHNX Sun Screw. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Check them out. Play at Gila.com, Bo, for more details.
This is a kind of game that will make you want to just jump in your new Sanderson Ford and just drive, right? And just think about it for a while. Blow off some steam. Maybe hit some trails, maybe get some mud on your tires in your Ford F-150 XLT. If you're looking to upgrade your vehicle, if you're just interested, go check out our friends at America's largest Ford dealership, 65 beautiful acres out there in the West Valley. It's the biggest Ford dealership in the nation, and not only do they have a big just location there, and they've got big deals that you need to take advantage of. Check it out, and they thrive on the no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. They're not going to get there and say, hey, you need to get into this car. They're going to show you some great things, some great Fords that you're going to eventually want to purchase, but they're not going to hassle you. It's going to be 0% financing for 36 months with no payments for 90 days on a Ford F-150, an Escape, an Edge, an Explorer, an Expedition. Shop Sanderson Ford during the playoff payoff sale. No hassle, no pressure, no nonsenses. Football's back, and so are the deals at Arizona's largest Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. See dealer for details.
Big fan of Sanderson Ford. Always getting the job done. Cardinals could have used a Sanderson Ford truck there to churn some clock and get some key yards there in the fourth quarter. But I'm going to tell you right now, these are the players that stood out to us for better or worse today. It's counting cards here on PHNX Cardinals. The big 3 for better or worse. Let's start with my guy James Conner, who started the game 6 consecutive touches, did have a touchdown. I did think they got away from him a little bit in the second half, but also that time of possession played a factor too. Typically the kind of half Brittan the Cardinals had in the first half, they want to have in the second half as well. Control the tempo, control the clock. Number 6, I thought, looked pretty good today.
He looked good. I mean, like you said, he started the game with the first 6 touches on offense, and the ball was moved, right? They found ways to get him in the run game, in the pass game. It was just whether it was a dump off, whether it was a screen. I mean, James Conner, and we saw this last year, when James Conner is involved heavily in your offense to start the game, to start the second half, you're typically moving the ball well. Right, last year he averaged 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 1,000 yards and missed 5 or 6 games last year. It's one of those things where when he's the focal point of your offense is clicking.
Yeah.
And when you get away from that, you get away from that run game, you get away from James Conner being in, it kind of falls apart. It looks like they're trying to scramble for things. Play calling kind of goes here and there. It makes it easier to call plays when James Conner is in the game, because he's going to make the plays. If you hand him the ball, he's going to get you 4 to 5 yards every time he gets the ball. He's going to find ways in the pass game to break tackles and get extra yards. So when you get outside of that, it's never good for the Cards.
No, it's not. When you just get away, like, sure, you wanted the complementary piece from the full passing attack, but James, I think for the most part, did his job. I mean, we thought it was going to be all James Conner all the time, touched the ball first 6 possessions of this game, and then scored their second touchdown of the season, and of course had that key 2-point conversion where he just rushed it up the gut, used his pure strength, and he was who we expected him to be. It's just the rest of the offense, there was a lot left that you wanted to see from them.
Defensively, it's hard to identify anybody in this front 7 in particular that stood out for the Cardinals, but I thought Mavin Collins had a nice day. Had a tackle for loss, was robbed of a sack that may have changed the game. They allowed that play to stand before Buffalo inevitably closed the gap from 17-3 to 17-10 at the end of the first half. But big number 25, I thought, was active. He was aggressive. He looked good. He was in coverage for a little bit. So I think you're getting what you want if you're JG and Nick Rallis from Mavin Collins. The only problem, gentlemen, is outside of Mavin Collins, and unless my eyes escape me, the chat can hold me to this, there wasn't another edge rusher that showed up on the stat sheet. I mean, Dennis Gardeck was a complete no-show. Xavier Thomas, who unfairly has been thrust into the situation, a 5th-round rookie out of Clemson, not on the stat sheet. Victor Dumakaji, I'm not sure if he even logged on any minutes. Like, Mac Wilson was all over the place, give him credit, but he was an inside and outside. I mean, I think Mavin Collins is a nice number 2. But they don't have a number 1. They just don't. We've talked about it this entire offseason, Brittan. The guy with the juice that can help you close games out. I mean, hell, they couldn't even get pressure second and third quarter on this team, much less the fourth quarter.
No, and that's that piece you're missing that they've had out here, right? They had the Calais Campbells, they had Chandler Jones out here, they had guys like Marcus Golden that were on the outside.
Yeah,
like you had bodies, you had guys, you had that one guy on the outside that you knew was going to find a way to get back there, get pressure.
Yep.
And I just don't think they don't have, like you said, they don't have a number 1 edge rusher. There's not a T.J. Watt type of guy out here.
No,
that's just going to command attention all day long. Like the offenses, they don't even have to chip.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like they weren't bringing a running back in, they weren't bringing a tight end anywhere to say, hey, we got a chip. They said my 5 guys are going to beat your 4 all day long,
and they did.
And they did all game long.
Just didn't see anything. Nobody was winning their one-on-ones. It was we did see shades of the upgraded defensive line in the interior defensive line, but like you can't make the absence of Darius Robinson and B.J. Ojulari this glaring.
And they were. I mean, and the Buffalo's run offense too. I mean, 33 carries, just under 4 yards per clip. I mean, that's expected, right? They
did better down the stretch of the game, getting some slowed down. weren't gashing them as much.
I mean, but Josh Allen, I mean, if you can find a game where he was more comfortable, I'd love to see it. I mean, he did just about whatever he wanted to.
I don't want it. It's going to be my nightmares for at
least
least the next couple of weeks.
Even in the first half.
Yeah.
He was what?
5 for 5, 7
for
7.
He was at one point he had 2 pass attempts through the first quarter. Like, it's not that I'm going to say he was uncomfortable, but I mean, you had the strip sack. He wasn't doing it. Our offense kept him off the field, so you never gave him an opportunity to get warm, to get hot. And second half, like you said, he was just lounging in the lazy boy back there.
Well, and then the red zone, man, like he was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like he was just a freight
You
train
knew
from
it was
hell,
coming.
as Johnny
It was
likes to say, right
it was
to the end zone.
inevitable.
You knew that the quarterback run was coming every single time down
Yep.
there. Just spread them out, get everybody. You see they're in man coverage. You spread all those receivers out. There's nobody left.
Yep.
To your point, he was the Cards' nightmare on defense. What about a nightmare on offense? Marvin, one catch, as we outlined in the first segment, again on 2 targets, I think, 2 or 3 targets during this game. 3 targets, I think. He had maybe the phantom missed pass interference call. All coming, it felt like in the first half, or certainly most of them. Again, you can say what you want about K1 missing the throw at the end of the game. You can talk about Marvin and Kyler not having chemistry. If you're an offensive play caller in 2024 and you've got a number 1 receiver that mirrors a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, that's what we've been told, and he's your number 1 guy, that's inexcusable. You can take a loss today and Marvin can have, a little bit more, and maybe I'm sitting up here, singing a different tune, Bo, but to not even have him a part of your game plan, to be an X factor, to be a focal point, what were you doing all week? I mean, it's inexcusable to me. Elijah Higgins has more receiving yards. DeMercado has more receiving yards than the 4th overall pick in the draft.
Right.
You're not going to get many people on board with what you're doing schematically if that's the case.
No, it's inexcusable. And when you've got a player with the playmaking ability of Marvin Harrison Jr., you say you get the ball in his hands, and being conservative 2 to 3 more times, that's the difference of the game.
Yeah.
It's the difference of the game.
He's the number 1. If you're going to treat him and you drafted him to be your number 1, right, there's no number 1 receiver that's going out there that says, I had 3 targets. That's just not acceptable at all.
Yeah.
So, there was never a time where you saw in Larry's prime where Larry went out there and he had 2 targets in a game. Mm-hmm. No. You have to find ways to get the ball to him. Right? If he puts the ball on the ground, if you give him 8 to 10 targets and he puts it on the ground and is not catching it, that's a different thing. But to end the game and say, this is my number 1, and he had 3 total targets in this entire game.
Let me ask you this, because Larry obviously was already established for any time, even when Kurt Warner came in and earned the job and they make that run to the Super Bowl and then, Cobb, whatever, and then Carson Palmer was coming in try to resurrect his career.
Yeah.
It was Larry's team. I doubt there was correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably no moments between that duo where Larry had to go to Carson and say, hey, I need more targets or I need more looks. How does Marvin Harrison Jr. go about this? Despite this being his first game as a pro, how does he go about this? I mean, he joked about what his dad said one time. Marvin Sr. said, you got to, complain about targets. It's just part of the job. How does he go about this?
I think this is one of those things where you can't do it in the public eye. This is not something you can't go on into the media and say, they got to give me the ball more, because one, that's going to put you on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And probably one you don't want to be on. But even the big guys, they're going to go talk. You go see your OC. You go see your head coach. You have a meeting. It's a one-on-one thing. They're like, look, right, you brought me here for a reason. Me going out there on Sunday morning and having 3 total. I had 1 catch for 4 yards. Yeah, I put 1 on the ground. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Everybody does it. But I can't end this game with 3 targets. You've got to find ways to give me the ball. And you can do this in a manner that's not condescending. You're not being
rude.
It's just the fact of you've got to have this conversation. You need to establish it now. And you also got to talk with your quarterback. Right? There's, like we talked about, the wide open streaking down the sideline. There's so much into that we don't know what was going on.
Sure.
Right? All we see as fans is, why didn't he hit it? Why didn't he make that throw?
Right.
Why didn't he throw it? And there's a ton of other stuff going on. Right? You can see the film later on, and we can judge it there. But Marvin has got to go talk to all of them, coaches, quarterback, figure out a way to say, hey, we got to find a reason, a why, but I need to have the ball thrown my way more than 3 times.
Can I just say something real quick, too? I see a lot of people on Twitter and even in the chat, coming after Kyler Murray. And obviously you would rather have him throw a game-winning touchdown at the end of this game. I get that. But, I mean, he played out of his mind in the first half. Can we not just completely throw that aside?
Yeah, he lost the right tackle, too.
You can't dismiss the performance. You want to complete a performance.
Right.
It was at the end of the day, it was a losing performance.
Right.
There was encouraging things that happened, but then there was also on display things that need to absolutely change, right? And of course, there's often with things like there's people who are way extreme about about it, and some people are too forgiving, and then it's probably somewhere in the middle.
He was unstoppable in the first half against Buffalo's playoff defense. Does he need more time with his receiving targets? Obviously. Did they fumble that? In my opinion, yes. Did I love their gameplay in the second half? Did he miss some throws? Right? Did he pump in the pocket when he should have hung on to the football? He made mistakes. No one's saying he didn't make mistakes here. But, like, people are acting like on Twitter like he's Daniel Jones or something.
Yeah.
Like, come on, what are we doing here? They were up 17-3 when he left the game in the first half. They just scored again.
He didn't have the game-winning drive. He didn't have the legacy drive that everybody wanted, and they want to point to it and say that's why he's not the guy, and that's a ridiculous claim.
This
is ridiculous. They
won 4 games last year, and again, like they're in a position to win the game, and they didn't get it done. Like, he needed to make a throw he didn't make. It's understandable. We move on. But, like, to sit here and say, like, to lump him in with the same caliber of personnel issues you have, like, defensively on the defensive line, like, I see a lot of people doing that. Might as well just start over. You have no pass rush. You have no quarterback. What are you talking about? It is up to Drew Petzing now to get 4 complete quarters out of Kyler Murray. Because and I think a big part of it, too, guys, is, I mean, Brittan, he balled out in the first half, and then he sat most of the second half because the defense couldn't get off the field.
Right. Well, and defense couldn't get off the field, and the offense couldn't sustain drives, especially to start the third quarter. And that's the complete opposite of what we saw in the first half. The offense sustained drives. And like Bo was talking about, they had 13-play drives, 10-play drive, 13-play drive. I mean, you took, in the first drive of the game, you took almost 8 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
And got a touchdown.
Kyler was in complete control
of the entire game.
He was dealing. He was throwing a James Conner, Dawg, McBride. Yeah, Michael Wilson.
You changed it. I mean, I don't know what changed at halftime. I don't know if it was like, hey, we can just kind of settle down here and try to control the game.
I hope not.
I hope that's not what it was, but it just the last drive was a play calling issue.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, and you said it earlier, like, I love the targets to Greg Dortch. We love to see that boy play. But at the end of the game, if we're throwing a jump ball in the end zone, I got a 6'4" receiver that I'd rather throw it to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just – and obviously pressure has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Kyler was under duress, and he had to get rid of the ball or take a sack, and you're not taking a sack on 4th down. So
their number 1 free agent signing in the offseason, at least on offense, and Jonah Williams, left the game after the first possession. I mean –
yeah.
And you got a guy in Kelvin Beachum out there who should not be starting for anybody. And now if Jonah Williams is out, we'll find out more on that, Bo.
You quickly had what you thought kind of a surplus of tackles to now it's really thin.
Yeah.
It's really thin because you had the injury to the 5th-round pick, and Christian Jones, he's on injured reserve. I don't even know if he was going to be an option just based off of how he struggled in the preseason. And Beach was really kind of your lone option there to be your primary swing, and now, you know, when he's thrust into starting, it's a little scarier than, you know, hey, he's our depth piece. So hoping for some good news on Jonah Williams. Obviously, we're not going to get anything immediately after the game from Jonathan Gannon, but we'll get some more insight, obviously, from the post game when we're going to be joined here by Craig Morgan here shortly, as soon as we get him on.
Yeah. Craig's hopping on, but before we get to Craig, I want to tell you about our friends at Bet365. Never ordinary, and I feel pretty good, gentlemen, about the bets I made before this game on the pregame show. The MHJ anytime touchdown with Bet365 hit, plus 390. And then, of course, we hit the over. Michael Wilson, excuse me. And then, of course, we hit the over in total points. That hit just missed on the K1 passing yards, over 250. He was on pace for that after the first half. But, again, I will take 60%. We are on the board for 60%. And don't you let me forget about your little bet this week, the Atlanta Falcons beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got plenty of time to talk about that, but I also
if you could block a person like you can block somebody on Twitter, I would do that to you right now.
Oh, man, I got to talk about my dubs, where I can get them, and a big dub for me is having the Bet365 app today. Use that bonus code 365 when you sign up, PHNX 365. Choose your offer and find out why, no matter the moment, it is never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. Again, deposit $10 in your newly created account. Put a 5 spot on anything. You get $200 in bonus bets, no questions asked. Or you get the free bet safety net up to $1,000. Put it all the way up to $1K. You're going to get $1,000 back in bonus bets. If your bets bust, must be 21 years and older, physically located in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more information.
I'm excited to tell you about a new partnership we have going on over at PHNX. It's Branded Bills. Branded Bills is a legit customizable hat, also just branding all sorts of apparel, perfect headwear and apparel to promote your business. Maybe you're just trying to get some slick lids for your softball team, your coaching staff on your high school squad. Use PHNX for 20% off your first order. You got to check this out, whether it's a snapback, whether it's a trucker, fitted, beanie, or T-shirt. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. They are the slickest, best-looking hats that you can find, and they're going to take your logo and they're going to make it look beautiful across any one of those cool little hats there. They got partnerships already with ASU and U of A, a couple winning programs there that start the college football season. It's a part of their campus collection. Check them out. It's a local company here in Mesa, Arizona, but they're going big. They're going worldwide, and we're going to help them along the way here at PHNX. Head to brandedbills.com. Use the code PHNX for 20% off your first order. That's brandedbills.com to use PHNX for 20% off your first order at brandedbills.com.
Yep. From Branded Bills to Craig Morgan. How about that? How about that for a transition?
Huge.
Presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, America's #1 credit union. We welcome in Craig Morgan on PHNX Cardinals live from Buffalo. He was at the game. Craig, you had a chance, hopefully, to hear from the head coach himself, Jonathan Gannon. Immediate thoughts and takeaways after the Cardinals blow a 14-point lead.
Yeah, and yet it was there for them, guys, right at the end. They had a chance. They had a chance to take this game against a quality team, so I'm sure that's going to eat at them all the way home. But you're right. We saw so much good from this offense, a lot of what we expected, right, other than the fact that they didn't get the wideouts involved very much in this game. But this offense looked efficient. There weren't a lot of negative plays. It looked like this team might be ready to make some noise. And then the other things that we were talking about, Johnny, and I saw you tweeting about it, this defense is a concern. This front seven's a concern. The Bills got back. The Bills got back in this game in a heartbeat. Jonathan Gannon talked about not liking the way the very end of that first half and then the start of the second half went. It felt like momentum shifted completely there, and then they were quickly playing catch-up in a game in which they had a 17-3 lead.
Craig, talk about what Gannon provided for some insight as far as Marvin Harrison Jr., just one catch for 4 yards, 3 targets all day. What was JG's explanation for that?
Well, he said, I'm not playing quarterback back there, so I'm relying on my guy to make the reads and see what's there in the offense. It's the same thing that Kyler said. It's the same thing that Michael Wilson said when we saw him, but it was pretty surprising to see both of those guys not get many targets, period, and not really play a major role in this game when we've been talking about them so much in the offseason. Maybe this is just one of those weeks, right, where they just don't get their touches, but you expect Marvin Harrison to be a big part of this offense, and he barely registered today.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, as well as the injury to Jonah Williams. Craig, any update as it relates to the Cardinals starting right tackle?
They did not have an update. It was interesting. Jonathan Gannon thought that Beach filled in well, but I thought we saw the impact of Jonah Williams go out. That offensive line was humming in the first half, and when he went out, maybe some of it was adjustments by the Bills, but they just didn't look like the same unit, which, you know, I don't know how many reps Kelvin Beachum got with the first team, and that maybe he'll be better when he gets a week of practice, but it makes you question the depth, right, if they can't sustain one of those losses up front.
What was the messaging from Kyler Murray post-game press conference? You touched on a little bit of what he said as far as the wide receivers, but what were his thoughts on the difference between the offense in the first half and in the second half?
Just execution. He thought that there were plays out there that could have been made in the second half, and they just didn't make them. I'm curious what you guys thought of the play calling on that final drive, particularly those final 2 play calls. What do you think about the decision to run James Conner? What do you think about the decision to throw the ball, you know, basically a jump ball to 5'7" Greg Dortch, who made some plays in this game, by the way, but is still my height?
I didn't like the run call. I mean, yes, I get it's 3rd and 11. You're trying to find ways to move the ball and get a chunk of that back so you have a 4th and manageable, but I think the draw on that, I think you just got to try to get the ball in the tight end's hand, receiver's hand, find ways to at least go for the first down or get a chunk of 7-8 yards in a pass. I didn't think calling a run play right there. I think he just got a little too deep in his playbook thinking he was going to fool somebody, and it did not pay off.
Yeah, they basically said they were hoping to fool him. They were playing pass, and they thought they might hit him with a run there, but They seem to be pretty keyed in on James Conner most of the day. I know they started by just feeding him the ball over and over and over again. But when you look at the final numbers, it's not like James had a major stat day as well. So it looked like the Bills were ready for him all day long.
Craig, how would you assess Kyler Murray's performance? There's a lot of discourse, as you can imagine, on the Twitter streets and in our chat. I thought he played exceptional in the first half. I thought he made the plays that were there to be made. He was on pace for a big day. And then I think the Bills made adjustments. The Bills' offense dominated. And so Kyler and the offense got very minimal opportunities. Of course, when you couple that with DJ Dallas's kick return touchdown, your overall assessment may be a grade for K1.
Yeah, I hate grades, Johnny.
I know,
but I thought overall this offense was pretty efficient. Certainly on those first 3 drives, we could all see that. I thought the offense did enough to win today. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I hesitate to throw this on the offense, and it may have to. It may fall on these guys week after week.
No doubt.
If this is what we're going to see from the defense, right? There were plays to be made in the second half. You're absolutely right. Jonathan Gannon talked a little bit about the adjustments that the Bills made, and they just couldn't get anything sustained in the second half. Got the big return from DJ Dallas, who, by the way, was pretty amped about that return. Jonathan Gannon said earlier this week that he thought that the kicking game would be an advantage for them. When DJ talked about the return today, I said, did you feel like a lot of teams just held their cards in the preseason? He said, well, a lot of teams held their cards, but some still let them out there for everybody to see. If you know, you know. So they saw something that they thought they could exploit with the Bills today, and he certainly exploited it.
Yeah, you got to check out Craig's incredible, thorough, in-depth article about the new dynamic kickoff. Give you some even more insight after you see on full display this first NFL Sunday. Craig, so a lot in the defense, the pass rush, as we've kind of we anticipated, there wasn't much there. Jonathan Gannon, he was asked within the last 2 weeks whether he felt comfortable with the group he had going forward. What were his thoughts? Did he give anything as far as his thoughts on the edge rushing group and their performance today?
He didn't single them out. He just said that the entire defense needs to play better. I have some questions about their corners as well after today. But yeah, they need to get – I mean, this is a broken record at this point, guys. What are they supposed to do? It's not like they have the personnel here. We know the guys that they lost to injury as well, which doesn't help matters. I just feel like this unit is hamstrung by a lack of personnel in that area. I don't know that they can fix that problem.
It's a great point, Craig. Jonathan Gannon does not handle personnel. Jonathan Gannon's not signing players. Jonathan Gannon, for no pun intended, gentlemen, is playing the deck he's been handed. And the deck he's been handed is a short one as it relates to this pass rush group. They impact players on the front 7. I mean, like, you'd have to be completely outside your football acumen to sit here and watch this unit perform or not perform and see that there's just a talent discrepancy that, by the way, was on display last year. We watched this same unit look like this for 17 weeks last year. Like, everybody, and I'm not here to knock anybody individually, but, like, the Gardex, the Dumikagis, like, we know who they are. They are proven commodities. They are complementary players. They are special teamers. You maybe be able to squeeze, Craig, a little bit of the orange with Zaven Collins, and I thought he had some moments today. But, like, when you talk about what Jonathan Gannon's DNA was in Philadelphia, and maybe to a lesser extent, Minnesota and Indianapolis, you flush that unit with bodies. You get people in there rotating. It is football personnel negligence to start a 5th-round rookie that had a nice preseason, by and large, out of Clemson against Josh Allen. That's football malpractice. So I sympathize with JG. I don't know what more you can do, Craig. Unless you're going to go out this week and you're going to start work. You're, in my opinion, 6 to 8 weeks behind working out guys. You're trading for somebody. Teams were Matthew Judon. There were guys available a month ago. The Cardinals said we're not interested. I mean, could you make a point, Craig, that the pass rush cost them this game today?
Well, I think it played a major factor. Yeah, and when you look at the overall defensive performance, that was a glaring weakness. But we knew it would be. Johnny, I don't know that Monty's gonna make a move here.
Right.
I don't know that that's coming. We talk a lot about the cap space that they're gonna have next season, like over $80 million. It feels like he's playing for year 3, and right. It's a gamble, right? It's a gamble that
you're gambling with people's livelihoods. It's like, we're just going to wait until year 3. Okay, so you're
how do you know what's coming, right?
Right. It's the NFL. You're nothing's proven. That was my entire point in the offseason. Of you got some additional funds, maybe go out and get some help, some supplemental guys to come in and feed this unit. That looked like, and I had a tweet ready, gentlemen, and I put it away. I put it in the draft.
Holstered it.
I had the USFL logo ready to go with the Cardinals pass rush because that's what it looked like today.
I mean, the difference is, like, when you look at past teams, like what the Rams used to have with, like, Brockers, and you had Eugene Sims on that. You had Aaron Donald early in his career, but they had 6 to 7 guys on that defensive line that when you took the 3 or 4 out and put the next 3 or 4 in, there was no drop-off.
Yeah.
You had the same type of production. And you don't even have that with your starters right now with the Cardinals. You don't have 4 guys that are going to go out there at the linebacker position and that can dominate and change the game defensively. So it's to the point of, like you said, we were saying the same thing last year, and nothing worked. Nothing came out of it. So do you wait year 3? Do you try to find a way to get somebody? I mean, like you said, you're behind right now anyway. You're not going to find you a premier pass rusher in week 2.
Yeah, you're not going to find it before that. Like, your chance of doing that and supplementing it are in March and then April in the draft. And people are sitting there and you say, hey, you got $30 million. It's like, well, you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I need Citizen Kane, and you've got the latest Carrot Top movie that you can spend $30 million on.
Madam Web, maybe?
It's just there's no market right now. Everybody, if there was a pass rusher available, and I know everybody points to Son Reddick, but, you know, there's a chance to even start or plays tomorrow for the Jets. So there's just nobody available right now.
Well,
but is there anything you can do scheme-wise? Can you impact this defense much?
They had a couple opportunities. That Owen Papo coming free, like, you got to make that play. That's the thing. Like, your margin for error between making a play and not making a play, it's going to mean the game.
I saw that all preseason with Victor Dumakaji. Like, I love scheme. Scheme me up, baby. But this scheme, it's a man's league. It's a player's league. Scheming? You're talking about winning on scheme against Josh Allen? Look at the quarterbacks they face. This is my entire point in the offseason. We're going to trot out guys who are day 3 picks and undrafted players, save for 2 or 3 guys here or there, and sign a couple free agents that were solid, if not mediocre, for their prior teams. And people want to come out and be like, yeah, they'll scheme it up. No, they won't. They will lose because of it. And I think Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis are brilliant defensive minds. But, like, I'm sorry, when you don't have the horses, even like slightly above average, like, I think we can all agree collectively, on paper right now, this front 7, this defense, let's just talk about the defensive line for the Cardinals. Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols were brought in to stop the run. Guess what the Cardinals didn't do today? Stop the run. At no point did they feel like, they're dominating the line of scrimmage. They're dominating the point of attack. The only time they got TFLs was when they blitzed Budda Baker or they blitzed Mack Wilson, right? And then Zaven Collins had 1. They cannot win one-on-one up front. So you can take everything you want to say about Kyler Murray and you can shove it, because at the end of the day, I know I've seen it tangibly that Kyler Murray can take over games. Like, I know what this defensive line is. It ain't doing that. It's not taking over anything.
I think what Craig was saying, I kind of understand. Like, the scheme-wise is what you have to do. The only way you're getting the backfoot, and we saw it today, is when you do those extra blitzes, when you blitz a safety, when you're blitzing 1 or 2 extra linebackers, because that's the only way you've got a free rusher that's going to get back there. Because to Johnny's point, nobody's winning that one-on-one battle on the outside.
Nobody.
Even in the middle. Like, they weren't winning it. They were getting gashed down the middle in between the tackles in the run game today too. So at this point, scheme is the only thing that's going to save you, and you've got to find ways. But at the same time, blitzing people is going to put you at a real bad disadvantage, because now you're putting yourself in man coverage, cover 0, cover 1 on the back end, hoping that these guys can hold a receiver downfield. So it's scheme is, I mean, you're going to live or die by it defensively this year.
Craig, what was the overall mood there in the post-game locker room? Was anybody accepting a bit of a close contest, or is everybody upset about the way that they lost this game?
Yeah, I think it was a balance of all those things, Bo. Listen, you go on the road against the Buffalo Bills and you've got the game in your hands at the end. There's some positives to take from that, right? But yeah, they didn't get it done. And this game is about wins and losses, and there are not that many of them in an NFL season. So you drop too many of these, obviously it's going to be tough for you. By the way, I had a great shot set up on the field for you guys post-game, and then they kicked us off the field. So I'm not sure how you feel about me in the shadows. I think I look better in the shadows. I look better in the shadows, right, Johnny? You can just say it.
You look fantastic regardless of where you're at. Buffalo or the janitor's closet. You're looking good, my guy. We're going to get to JG and all your super chats here in a second, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about our friends at Empire today. Quick, easy install, professional flooring at the best price. You go to Empire today. And again, like a lot of people say, I'm good. I like my flooring. I don't know. I've had water damage. Have you? It's not fun. I've had people come in and rinky-dink around and not know what they're doing, not the right materials. They overcharge you, right? That's not Empire Today. They do it. Speed and service is the name of the game. Check them out by visiting empiretoday.com/PHNX. We're going to save you right now. It's convenient. It's the place to shop. They can typically take care of what you need to. They'll come out. They'll give you a free quote. Restrictions apply. Again, all listeners receive a $350 discount when using the bonus code, the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. EmpireToday.com/PHNX for more details, Bo.
We were looking for a game changer today, but we actually found one for a night out in town, right? If you want to sit back, have a couple pops, have a good old time and not worry about maybe, the next day, our friends over at Z-Biotics are going to help you out, and we're going to help you save some money while doing so. 15% off with PHNX cards is going to save you money on Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Let's face it. You're headed out for a night on the town for some drinks, and you don't bounce back like you used to. Well, maybe you could turn to our friends pre-alcohol from Z-Biotics. They're going to help you live a better life and not have to ditch maybe some fun times with family, with some friends. Check them out right now. You got vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions, football Sundays now, those Sunday scaries. There's so much going on. Get out and get the most of your fall by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. ZBiotics.com/PHNX cards is going to get you 15% off your first order, and use that PHNX cards code at checkout. Pre-alcohol backed by 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, you're unsatisfied by this, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. They'll send it right in the mail. Remember to head to ZBiotics.com/PHNX cards. Use that code PHNX cards at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring PHNX Cardinals, and let the good times roll.
Thank you to all of you who've put in your super chats. We are getting to them momentarily, but first, we'd be remiss. Jonathan Gannon met with the media, including our own Craig Morgan, just minutes ago. Here's JG on the frustration with losing.
Yeah, I'm frustrated anytime we lose. You know what I mean, Josh? Because I see what they do to prepare to win. But I just told them in there, I'm excited to get back to work. They see we're a couple plays away. We got to start making those plays win games.
I mean, I think this is a guy who will have a short mindset like you have to have as a head coach. They will know the rigors of a 17-game season, Brittan, and what entails, and you can't overreact after a loss. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's one game. 17. You play 17 games in the season. Yes, you can overreact. I mean, understandable as a fan. You're overreacting. You've seen a lot of the same nonsense you saw years past, and it's frustrating to see it, especially when you blow a big lead, to lose an opening game. But, I mean, like you said, you've got to have a short-term memory in this league, right? You had you gave away, you lost the game, you gave it away. Next week, that's out the door, right? You got the Rams coming. You got to find a way to win that football game.
This league is built for overreactions, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Once a week. But, Brittan, you talk about that. We hear that all the time. You need to have a short-term memory. How quickly are players able to flush a loss like this, a really tough loss that goes down to the final play?
I mean, it's just it's one of those things where you've got to get over it, right? If I go into next week and I'm still thinking about a bad loss from last Sunday, then I'm not thinking about what I got to do as a team, as a player, coach, however you want to do it. I'm not thinking about what we got to do to win this week, right? And it's just putting me back another step, and you're not putting your best product on the field. And I think it's one of those where you got to just swallow the pride and say, look, I didn't play well this week. I got to find a way to do it better next week.
I did like to see the team's response often, and it far often was just too much the first half, and they couldn't finish the job. But I thought that they did a good job last year flushing losses and coming out strong to start the next game. You hope with the improved roster that it's going to put them in positions to finish. Now, it didn't happen today, and I know people are probably rolling their eyes at that, but like their game plan going from Washington to New York the next week, it was better done from Drew Petzing and Nick Rawlis to kind of fix where they fell short the previous game. So you look for them to bounce back in week 2 in their home opener against the Rams and have a better game plan, especially incorporating some of these big play wide receivers.
Let's go back
exactly
to back.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, we need that. Let's go back to back with comments from JG here, Damon, Dawg. First on going away from the run game, and then overall his assessment of Kelvin Beachum.
Yeah, I thought they started to load the box a little bit, you know what I mean? And we went 3 and out. After they went down and scored, we went 3 and out, and then we kind of made the adjustment. But we got to do a better job as coaches. We'll put them in position. I thought Beach went in and played well, you know what I mean? So we'll check it out. But Beach is a pro. He went in there, and we didn't change the game plan. We didn't chip his guy. I mean, he was fine. He played his ass off.
Now, as far as Beachum goes, I do think, Brittan, that there will be a point of emphasis if he has to play next week. They will give him help. Against albeit a Rams front seven that they're rebuilding as well. But, I'm sure Gannon, the mindset was you had Jonah Williams in there, you're not giving him help. And so they stuck with that for Kelvin Beachum. I would imagine it's going to look different next week.
Yeah, and especially you don't want to knock anybody, but it just didn't hold up on the right side in this game. And you would have thought that seeing the previous drives where he got beat plenty of times, you would have thought, as an offensive coordinator, you're sitting here thinking, hey, let me throw a running back out here to chip on his way out. Let me throw a tight end here to chip on his way out. I think it'll look a little bit different this next week. If Beachum does have to start, I think you'll see a little bit more of the tight end on the outside or running back popping out of the backfield on his way to the flat or whatever, throwing a chip in there, trying to slow down a pass rush. But if you don't, you're going to see more of the same of what you saw in the second half today, and that's just not going to be it.
I know we have a sound from the Cardinals quarterback, Kyler Murray, but one thing that just kind of came to mind was that the 12-person draft class, outside of a couple key plays from Max Melton on special teams, it was kind of crickets from that 12-person draft class.
It's a great point. I mean, Tip Ryman was playing a lot.
Yeah.
But, he's a third tight end, and he's there to help the run game. But, I would say Trey Benson had some
he had a great
touches.
first half.
Yeah.
But, Craig, how would you assess this rookie class when their 2 first-rounders gave you nothing today for different reasons?
Yeah, and I don't want to assess them after one game, but you're right. They just didn't have an impact on this game. And I don't know that we expected it as much from some of those other guys. Max Melton a little bit maybe, but Marvin Harrison's the guy that just jumps out. Obviously, Darius can't make an impact because he's out of the lineup. But I expected more from Marvin today. I didn't expect Marvin to finish this game with 1 catch for 4 yards. That did not enter my realm of thinking. So that one surprises me a little bit. I'm not even sure that I buy all that's just what the offense was giving us. You got to get your playmakers the ball at times. You got to give Marvin a chance to make some plays, don't you?
Yes, that's that's coach speak, and they have to say that. He's not going to throw Drew Petzing under the bus. That is an egregious mistake. You got people in Cincinnati asking, I think, Jamar Chase after the game, why did you only have 6 targets? And Marvin Harrison Jr. basically was relegated to half of that.
3,
This offense, we talked about it. It didn't feature receivers last year, and Bo, we put that a lot on who they were sporting, Hollywood Brown, etc. Now it's different. It should be a strength of your team.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Let's get into Kyler Murray. Damon, talking about them taking away Marv?
Honestly, man, I wouldn't say they were just taking him away. I think, I'm just, as a quarterback, obviously you're going through your reads. Sometimes the ball goes to him, but that's not, it's not my job. Obviously, I have a sense and a feel for guys when they don't get the ball and when they're, when they are getting the ball. But, I leave that up to Drew. Drew always, he tells me don't worry about that type of stuff. Just keep playing your game and, get the ball to where the ball's supposed to go. Nah.
Just because you were moving around.
Yeah, you play football, like, there's a lot of stuff moving around. You're moving fast. Like, you don't see everything.
Again, I'm not going to make excuses here. But, Lamar Jackson missed throws Thursday night against Kansas City. Missed guys open. Do I think that Marv and Kyler needed preseason time? Yeah, absolutely. Would you like Kyler Murray to make that throw? But, that, I don't think the game was won or lost with that misplay. You could say that that's a game winner. That's awesome. But why was Marvin Harrison Jr. regulated to no targets in the second half, basically? That, come on. When you're using third backs and second and third tight ends to get more targets. I just
Yeah,
I
he
can't
still
remember.
has. It's. I mean, it'd be an amazing, just dramatic game-winning play potentially against Buffalo, right? Like he'd still be only his fourth target up to that point.
Well, it's to the point where there's so many ways, and like you said, you gotta give the political answer when it comes out there. But
Yeah.
that's your number one receiver. In your playbook, there are so many different ways to get him the football, and it's in there. I mean, I played in this league and watched it happen. Mm-hmm. All right, we needed to get the ball to Larry. We got the ball to Larry. We needed to get the ball to John Brown. John Brown got the ball. Mike Floyd needed the ball. We got the ball to Michael Floyd. It was a situation where you can get your playmakers the ball. You can draw up plays that can beat whatever defense they're in that feature the playmaker that you're trying to get the ball in the hands. So I feel like they just did a very bad job of not putting the ball. Outside of the first half with James Conner, you got the ball in your playmaker's hands with James Conner in the first half, then you got away from it.
But the minute you had a sea of momentum come your way from Buffalo after they scored 3 touchdowns in 3 possessions, it's, hey, we got to switch this up a little bit. We got to have a sense of urgency.
Yep.
And you turned around 60 total plays. You ran more plays than Buffalo did, and 3 of them went to Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that's embarrassing. If I'm Drew Petzing, I'm embarrassed.
Ball. You had a jump ball at the end of the game. That's where you want Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
That's where he can make an impact for you.
Yeah. The jump ball is a tough one to go off of just because
it is.
How – I mean, none of us know what it's like being a quarterback in the NFL and having 8 guys rush at the same time. They bring the house and you got to get rid of the ball. But, you would like to see that in Kyler's instance, knowing where Marvin is on the field and the time. If I'm in trouble, that's the side I want to throw it up to instead of just throwing it up to my, 5'9" receiver.
We got more from K1, Damon, Dawg.
We got K1 on that big fourth down play, jump ball.
I knew they were going to blitz. I feel like the play before could have been flagged, didn't get it. Next play, obviously 50-50. I understand how the game goes. They're probably not going to give us the benefit of the doubt on that, so it is what it is.
A little insight on that last play there to Greg Dortch. And then just when you saw the offense in the first half versus the second half, Kyler Murray on the execution the last few drives offensively.
I think it's a little bit of just executing better. Obviously, go back and watch it today. Probably be frustrated, but at the end of the day, man, it's season's not over. Obviously, you want to win your first game, but been doing this a while now, and next week we got a divisional opponent. The next one's the most important. Of course, everybody in the locker room, wanted to win that. Felt like we deserved to win that and should have won it, but hey, great game by them. We just got to be better. We got to execute better.
Yeah, just on to next week.
Yep.
And that's all you want. And again, Kyler Murray finishes the game with 91 quarterback rating, 1 turnover, 1 touchdown. But the team put up 28 points. I mean, at the end of the day, you should probably win those games. It's above the league average for the highest offense in the NFL, which I think is like 26 points. So again, I mean, it's tough to build off of, but frustration nonetheless. Speaking of frustration, let's get to your super chats. Thank you for being patient. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire, let's rapid fire these super chats. Let's get to the people who've been waiting this whole time.
Absolutely. We got 19 super chats as of right now. We'll start off with Pedro, and Pedro said $4.99. He says, we held the line for 1 reception and 0 targets in the second half with the game on the line.
If you had told those so optimistic young men that were at this very spot back in April at this draft show,
I don't want to think
that
about it.
when Commissioner Goodell said with the 4th pick, Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., that he's going to have 1 catch, we told you to
I would have said
kindly leave this draft party.
I'm like, did he immediately get hurt after his catch? Did he go down?
There's a world, though, gentlemen, where we complete that pass to Marv at the end, game-winning touchdown, Marvin Harrison Jr., and
world?
this is
I
like
wanna
the
live
best
in that
day of
reality.
our entire
What
lives.
world is that? Where good things happen to the show?
We
I
missed
haven't experienced that before.
Next super chat from Jinsol Murray, $1.99, says, why are we throwing to a 5'10 receiver in that situation?
It's Kingsbury-esque. I thought
Who's
Drew Petzing.
5'10"?
Yeah.
Who's 5'10"?
That's generous. That's
It's
generous.
really generous.
Yeah.
I thought Petson was really good in the first half. I thought as good as he was in the first half, that's how bad he was in the second half.
We saw the same flashes of that last year, though.
Oh, it's true. You couldn't. Yeah,
We saw games where Petson came out and called hell of a game, and then you saw the very next week where he came out and it was like, we've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Next super chat comes from Connor for $2, and he says missing 4th overall 6'4" wide receiver.
Now, where is he? SOS.
32,
It's like his jerseys in the team shop.
That's right.
Gone.
32 Antoine $5 says, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has lost Kyler Murray's trust with that wide open drop pass. That's why they should have played preseason.
Well, I think I agree with the latter part of that. Kyler, if the game plan clearly was not to showcase Marv. It was to do what they did, which was get a lead and then I guess keep a lead by running the ball and playing good defense. But guess what? The Bills have a good defense. They stopped the run, and then they scored a bunch of points because they have an all-pro quarterback. You had to be able to adjust on the fly. They couldn't do it. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's in my opinion, that's what happened.
Maybe they were hiding Marv one more game. Maybe that's
Please don't talk to me. Shut up.
Aston Marvin 199 says, I know that Marv Sr. was sick watching that game.
Guaranteed.
Ooh, I bet he was.
Josh $10 says, Petzing is the cause of this offensive collapse in the second half. They got the ball back with 5 minutes left and don't run the ball once, then run on 3rd and 10. How is MHJ read number 4 in this offense?
It's crazy. I thought both coordinators had a really good first half, and they were bad in the second half. Like, that's the NFL, man. Change on a dime. But here's what you can't do. You can't take outings like this for granted when you have a team like this that you can put away and you can get a signature win for your head coach in week 1. You don't have the personnel to do it. I don't want to hear rebuild again. No one talk to me about rebuild.
Let's get Craig out so he can churn out a beautiful article for GoPHNX.com.
Thanks, Craig.
And catch his flight too. Craig, thanks for the insight, my man.
All right, I'll see you soon.
See you tomorrow. Let's keep it going here, Damon, Dawg.
All right, we got another super chat here, and this one is from Adam H. And Adam says, or for $9.99, thank you, Adam, says,
Thanks,
what
Adam.
edge rusher are we taking top 3 in the draft? JK thinks of the coverage guys. Kyler will hit wide open MHJ next week.
I don't want to talk draft, Brittan.
Look,
I can't beat
It's too.
Edge rusher's fine with me, but when you say top 3, I want to throw hands. I can't take that.
Yeah, we don't need a
I'm
top
going to do
3
the thing
pick.
where I overreact.
Don't overreact.
They're
Johnny.
all on 1 right now. Stop. They play. Guess who they play next week? Daddy McVay, who they've beaten, twice in like 20 years? Everybody's like, it's fine if you lose to Buffalo. They're rebuilding. Look at the next 2 teams they're playing. 2 perennial contenders in the NFC.
Yeah.
You cannot dick around. I'm sorry.
Fear
you can't
porn.
screw around.
Fear porn.
We don't need a pass rush. We're fine. You're
I didn't say that.
overreacting.
I didn't say that,
We're
by
fine.
the way.
Look at this team. I'm buddies with everybody. Cameron Thomas, he'll help us. Oh, he's in Kansas City. Whoops. Sorry about that.
Let's keep going, Damon.
Baharo 3, $2, says, can't lean on a physical run team with this defense.
It's a great point. I think you have to be what JG said once upon a time, big explosives. Like, if you want to have a defense that looks like this, that is, in my opinion, bottom tier in the NFL right now until proven. Like, right now, you look like the same defense from last year. Can we agree with that?
Yep.
Looks like the same defense. You need to have an offense that's clicking. That offense was good. That was like a 16th, 17th best offense. You got to be top 10 offense. Figure it out. You got 1 week to figure it out against an elite head coach.
Ethan Dumpet, 199, says, no idea how people are blaming Murray can't please AZ. SMH.
It's tough. I mean, it's
He
riding the
doesn't
line.
deserve all of the blame. No, there's not. In no world are you saying realistically that Kyler Murray is to blame for this loss. Now, did he have bad moments? Yeah, everybody did. But I mean, the lack of a pass rush, the getting gashed in the run game,
No right tackle.
no right tackle. Like, you can't give up yards like that defensively and expect to win a football game.
Red Feather Report, $5 super chat. Believe this used to be our friend Dana Robinson. And
What's up, Dana?
Kyler was never throwing in rhythm. The ball was never out of his hand when he hit the end of the drop. But a lack of contain is what killed us on D.
Yep.
I think it's a great point. I mean, Kyler and the inefficiencies in the passing game didn't help. you lost this game because your defense just floundered for about 2.5 quarters.
I mean, Gannon said it, and, like, you're not saying anything profound here, but it's like you just can't let him go out, extend plays, and off the extension get explosives out of it. And that's what he did. That's what Josh Allen did all game.
Ant B199 says 1 reception, 4 yards, melting emoji. Who are we going to fire?
I mean, ask me in 16 weeks because they touted that the coaching staff was all coming back.
You'll be quicker than that if there's repeat performances like this.
There's no way. I'll say right now, there's no way they fire Nick Rallis in season.
No. Okay, I got you. But if you're giving up 34 points a game, that's tough.
Well, I'm not sitting here saying Rallis should be a head coach tomorrow. What would you have him do? The players are not good enough.
That's my exact same argument for the pass rush. Like,
well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Offensively, you want to have a conversation about Drew Terrell over Drew Petzing if it's week 12 and this offense still can't get it going? That's a conversation I'll have. Absolutely. But, like, look who Drew Petzing has. They use all their resources on the offense. Yeah. The offense should be much better, passing-wise. Much better.
Ethan comes back with another Super Chat, $4.99. I think he's talking about the fans here. Cardinals fans are the worst in the league. Why is everyone so ungrateful? Yeah, it was disappointing, but, man, these fans don't know ball.
Some of them don't.
That's a great preface for what
there's a couple things here. Here's what I'll push back on. The Cardinals are the worst in the league as far as the fan base goes, and that there is a lot of people that don't know football, and a lot of times us on the show don't know what we're talking about. But I would say, what I would say is when you have an opportunity to come back and do something that nobody's expecting and you fall short of that, people are going to say, why didn't you get the job done, right? The job wasn't finished, and that's why people are, they'll get the pitchforks out and they'll be mad and say, well, it's just the same thing as it was the last 2 years where they were 4-13 teams, where I think that you're just going to have to wait and see and where the team goes from here. I mean, as much as I agree with you, like to be one possession away from beating Buffalo is a win in itself. There's still the reality of you have to get the job done.
I've been watching moral victories with this team my entire adult life. Like nobody wants to hear about moral wins.
Moral victories don't get you anything.
You're not starting Bo Nix out there. You're starting Kyler Murray, who's making $50 million, and you got a head coach in second year, and you got an infrastructure, and you got Buffalo. You're up on Buffalo by 14 points. Like you want to have some crazy stuff happen where the ball's bouncing all over the place and it's a fluke. We can have a conversation about that. Buffalo just came back and took this game from you. It was not based on, turnovers that happened, things that happen once in a blue moon, 100-1 odds. No, they just said, you know what, Cardinals, we're done screwing around. We're going to run the football on you. We're going to extend plays. We're going to score touchdowns now. And the Cardinals on the flip side said, we're going to go 3 and out. We're going to turn the ball over. We're going to take sacks. Like, you got outcoached in the second half, and you lost this game. It was there to be won. You had it, and then you gave it right back to Buffalo.
Next Super Chat, we got back-to-back from Pick and Spreads. Donnie here starts off by saying Nick Scourton or James Pierce will save our edge room.
I'm not familiar with their game. Can we get them on a bus to Arizona tomorrow? Are they available tomorrow?
Yeah.
What else Donnie got?
Nick Scourton of Texas A&M, James Pierce of Tennessee. Could be a Cardinal next year, either one of them. $10 from Donnie on the next one. Says, Kyler not seeing him means one of two things. One, Kyler truly missed him, or two, MHJ was the 3rd/4th option, and he has edge pressure and couldn't get to it.
That's what my thought is.
And if it's number 2, then that's Drew's fault, because why is MHJ the 3rd or 4th option?
I probably agree with both. I think there's some truth to both.
Well, that's what we talked about when we're saying there's so many. We see it on Twitter and you see it on TV of how open he was, but you don't know the extenuating factors that go into it. There's a point where he's probably not the first read on that play. He's probably the backside of that play. So the way he's got to read this is from the left to right. So when he's takes a snap, takes his drop, he's looking here first. So if he's wide up, he's not going to see that immediately. And by the time he does get to it, there's pressure.
Yep.
Dortch was also really good today. But again, that wasn't a seam route over the middle or a crossing route. That was a jump ball fade in the end zone.
He almost caught that.
He did. I don't.
He was probably interfered with.
I think he does if he wasn't interfered with.
That's definitely
But again, you're not giving yourself much wiggle room with the officials if you're doing that with an undersized receiver.
Right.
No,
If that's
agreed.
Marv, and Marv's got his big limbs up there and they're pulling down on him and it's more obvious, that was Kingsbury-esque with Andy Isabella and Rondell Moore. I've seen that play 1,000 times. I thought we knew better with this new coaching staff. I guess not.
And also, Marv has that name notoriety
100%,
where if he's getting
100%.
tugged on, there's more likely they're going to call it in Marv's favor than Greg Dortch's favor.
And I love Greg Dortch, but he was the 4th pick in the draft. He's touted as the savior. He's one catch in a game where you scored 28 points. Unacceptable.
Free Matter for the Blind, $2, says, Bo, please ask Petzing about his lack of use of MHJ.
I guarantee that's asked on Tuesday when he talks.
You specifically, though.
Okay.
Make sure there's some
You have to
I'm
do
accountability.
going
it,
to
Bo.
point at him.
If Donnie Druin or Tyler Drake ask before you, we're going to have problems.
Ethan, with his 3rd Super Chat,
Thank
$1.99,
you,
says, holy smokes, Cards fans are the worst.
They're the best. Listen, here's what I will say. Nobody wants to lose. I hate this. This is awful. I was doing the halftime show with these two fine gentlemen and our fabulous producer. I'm like, surely this can't happen again after Washington and the Giants last year and how many games where they were up big. Nope, it happened again.
It was a one-possession game going into halftime. Let's not, the
No, but
Bills
they
were
were up.
already on the way back. We knew how.
Well, that's what it got.
It was
you
17
got
to-
points before the half,
Yeah.
and then you came back out at half and got more points.
It was 17-3 with 2 minutes left to go in the first half.
Next Super Chat comes from Alberto E, $4.99, and he says, first off season following you. Guys, don't know how I did it before. Let's build off of this.
Let's move forward together
Oh, yeah.
into better days as well.
I want to build with you. I'm tired of the Cardinals building. I'm done. Go and win games, but I'm ready to build with you, fan.
Alberto, thank you for sticking with
Thanks,
us, man.
Alberto.
Thanks, Alberto.
Yep.
Free Matter for the Blind is back, $2. Chat discussing Chandler Jones for defense. Thoughts?
Things are getting ugly in the chat.
If you want to know the state of the Cardinals pass rush, I
Week
think
one.
that super chat does it justice there.
Kyler Plummer, $5, says the K1 hate needs to stop. Y'all must be new Cards fans. K1 is the best homegrown QB we have ever had. LOL, y'all must have forgot.
He was good today. Was he great? No, but
First half, Kyler was really
great.
good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Nazar, $4.99, says we went toe-to-toe with a Super Bowl contender. Overall, I'm not too upset. We'll clean it up next weekend.
I agree with the first half. You're cleaning it up against Sean McVay and the Rams at home like that. That's tough, man. I've never seen this team outside of 2 instances, one of which was against, I think, Baker Mayfield.
Who's
in
a better
losing
team,
year.
the Bills or the Rams?
I think it's a coin flip. 100%. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's a coin flip.
Now, if you were to say this a year ago,
It was the Bills.
the Bills by far.
The Rams
but
have Puka Nacua.
And you're also playing in Buffalo. You're going against the elements.
No, I don't
and those
care
did
about that.
play a role
Yeah.
today.
I don't wanna hear
Weapon-wise,
about
offensive weapon-wise, the Rams are better. I think the Rams
Puka
have it
Nacua
better.
and Cooper Kupp and Stafford with 5 seconds in this pass rush. People are saying, yeah, we'll get right at home next week against the divisional opponent. Have you watched the Cardinals games against the LA Rams for the past half decade? We said it on Friday's show. That, not only are they unwatchable, they get blown out every time. So now we're just like, oh, let's go into next week and win. What? When has that ever been the norm?
You had the Cardinals going on the road and winning in Buffalo, after a 4-win season.
And look, and they had an opportunity, and they blew it with the lack of personnel moves up front defensively. They make a move.
but you predicted they were going to win.
Yeah, I did. I thought they were.
They
I
have
thought they were
plenty of
gonna-
opportunities
They
to win this
did.
football game.
And they should put themselves in an opportunity to win at home.
I would love to see that happen. Based on the evidence of years prior,
They're going to have to get pressure somehow.
Yep.
with whom?
I'm just saying, somehow you're going to have to do that because Matthew Stafford, with 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua
But the
is a
difference is
danger zone.
that Josh Allen was going in extending plays that Matthew Stafford doesn't have the ability
Yeah,
to do.
but
He's
you-
a stature.
But even with that, I think most of the time he's extending plays and he's leaving a clean pocket to do his thing. Matthew Stafford, I don't think the Cardinals can pressure the Rams next week. I need to see it. They couldn't pressure Dirt McGirt, third QB in the preseason. They're just gonna say, hey, Sean, how much money have the Rams invested in their guard play and their center play? Their line's good. This isn't like Joe Blow offensive line. Their offense is the strength of their team, and the Cardinals with Xavier Thomas and Dennis Gardeck are going to come and light up Matthew Stafford next week. I would love to see it.
Got 2 more Super Chats for now. PR Mac, $2, says, Say what you want about K1, but play calling, thinking emoji.
No sus.
Everybody can get better after today. Everybody's got room to get better.
Milwaukee Braves 999 says, the more I think about this game, the more I feel gutted. Put the hundo on Cards money line. Wanted to win more than the money. That was icing on the cake. Just feel like we choked. Maybe I'm being harsh.
Was it a choke job? Do you guys, thank you for that kind of super chat, by the way. Bo, I'll start with you. Was it a choke job?
Yeah, because you had an opportunity. You had the game in a position to put it away, and you couldn't do it. Like I think in a choke job, like did they blow it at the end and it cost them? No, I think that this game where they choked it away was the start of the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you blew it. You had a 14-point lead, right? You went into halftime with a 7-point lead. You played 30 minutes of football and you had the lead. You come out, and every coach says the same thing when you're coming out of halftime. That first 5 minutes of the third quarter is going to determine a lot about this football game.
Yeah.
And Buffalo came out, and they moved the ball and went down and scored points. The Cardinals' defense did not show up that first 5 minutes, and then when they got the football, they lost the football.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can blame it and ride it however you want. Those first 5 minutes and the momentum that Buffalo got going into halftime. You got a touchdown with however many seconds left on the clock, and then you backdoored it with another touchdown. So that's a 14-point swing when you had a 14-point lead.
Well, here's what you can get. You may not have gotten a big-time Marvin performance today. You still can't buy a number 18 jersey, but you can sure as hell shop the number 18 collection right now at phnxlocker.com. Become a diehard. Go phnx.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt. Every single year you are a diehard. I'm still repping my tee with pride. Marvin, there will be better days ahead, and there's days right now for you to shop the number 18 collection. Of course, the Maserati Marv tee, a little bit of math, 1 + 18 = 6. Eventually that's got to happen, right? And then, of course, MHJ, celebratory T-shirt. I need to see Marvin Harrison Jr. I need to have it come to fruition that he is a great player in Arizona. I believe it will happen, but we need you guys to shop the number 18 collection so we can see it through. But in all seriousness, become a diehard. It's great value. Be able to check out Craig Morgan's article as early as tonight. A banger. You're going to hear insights from the press conference, of course, but in the locker room. Craig's got the on-the-field access that you want in Buffalo. And then, of course, remember, Discord is going to be popping off with people letting themselves be heard after today, Bo.
We also have that. Aren't we giving away a Pit Boss grill or we're a chance to win a Pit Boss grill?
I think so, aren't we, Damon?
Here, I'll get you the link. Let's drop it. I'll drop this link in here. Absolutely, go to just follow this link I'm going to drop in the YouTube chat, and you can register to win yourself a Pit Boss grill by our friends over here at Pit Boss Grills. It's unbelievable the things that they got going on. Just go phnx.com. We are thrilled to partner with Pit Boss. Exclusive giveaway series. It's going to be going on every post-game show tailored to our PHNX community. Sign up for a chance to win fantastic prizes to enhance your tailgate and post-game experiences. 17 of these we're going to be giving away, and right now is your first chance to do that. You got the portable battery-powered wood pellet grill. This usually goes for about $500, $499.99. All you do is you simply provide your first and last name and email below when you go to register for this. Don't miss out on incredible prizes. Join us by celebrating our partnership with Pit Boss.
We're fired up. We got announcements on announcements. Can we drop a big one now, Bo Brock?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is going to be a big week for this little podcast that could. We're fired up to welcome tomorrow on PHNX Cardinals. He caught the lone touchdown pass today for the Redbirds. Michael Wilson will join us tomorrow on Monday, and Bo, it won't be his last appearance on this fine podcast this year.
No, it won't. He's going to join us a couple times a month as we gear up or as we take you along the 2024 season. I'm sure Michael Wilson will be able to kind of give us some insight into, where they felt short in this game, So Michael Wilson joins us on Monday, and then the good times don't stop rolling. Then we got another big announcement coming on top of that.
Yeah, we'll have the other announcement at the end of the show tomorrow for who's going to be joining us on Tuesday. Then, of course, we got Baldy later this week. We got Craig Morgan. We got Brittan Golden. We got a fully packed team here to give you the best Premier Cardinal access money can't buy. It's free here on the YouTube streets, but we've got to get this team on the right track. So looking ahead to next week, Bo Brack, what do the Cardinals need to do to get their first win of the season?
They need to have a bounce back, right? They need, through practice, figure out, work the kinks out of this offense, start to look, maybe for the outside passing game for some more answers as far as your two guys that you had huge expectations for, including the guy we're going to talk to tomorrow, and Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
And, of course, your 4th overall pick, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think offensively that helps, but then defensively you just got to find ways to generate pressure. You need guys to step up. And I think, as far as getting to the opposing quarterback, I know personnel-wise you're handcuffed with that, but you got to be able to continue to find ways to get off the field. And, I think it's just you look to the player, the guys making the game plans, and it starts with the coaches, and you move forward. You just kind of turn the page on Buffalo, and you move forward and with your sights set on your home opener and start to establish, a home field advantage. And I know that's easier said than done when you're going up against a team that's consistently in the postseason.
What do the Cardinals need to do to beat Stafford and Sean McVay for the first time in a long time?
Well, it's, pretty much Bo hit it. The game plan is going to be everything. It's going to be finding a way to get my playmakers the ball on offense and to be able to replicate it in the second half. Not just one half of football. You got to be able to do it for 2 halves. And on the other side of the ball, it's pressure, generating pressure, finding ways to make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable, finding ways to get the ball out of his hands quickly or to make him hold on to the ball and get sacks. If you can do that and you can generate pressure next week, I think you have an opportunity. If you show what we did this week and you do it, put it on paper again, you're going to get gashed, and it's not going to be pretty.
I'll tell you what is pretty. These super chats that just came in. Damon, Dawg, let's keep the good times going here. By the way, like this stream if you have not done so already. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube.
We just got one super chat right now, and it is from Low Dog, and it was $10. He says,
Thanks,
imagine buying a Maserati and then forgetting where you put the keys.
It's the best super chat of the day. Best
It
comment
is.
of the day.
It was a good super chat.
You guys are the best audience today, the best community. Hope you enjoyed week 1 of our coverage here. And good times continue. Got a bunch of supplemental content coming out here in the next 24 hours, so keep it locked in to the PHNX Sports YouTube page. Of course, Michael Wilson joins the show tomorrow on a Football Monday. Check out Craig Morgan's work at gophnx.com. And do not forget, subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Spotify. We got to thank the fine folks here at Gila River Bowl.
Yeah, it's been incredible. The food, the drinks, they were great. The vibes were even better. It was good to see our old friend Brittan Golden back here on the show, as he's going to do each and every week. Phenomenal job by the crew, the production staff, Shane Diefenbach, and our guy, award-winning producer Damon, Dawg, and, of course, our leadership, Saul Bookman and Espo out here, and our guy Max, making this all possible with our partnership that we love. Thanks to friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. You cannot stop from coming out here. Once you get in the doors, you'll realize what makes this so special. You just hit right in the face with fresh air, and then you see the tables, you see the sports book, you see all the action, the chances of winning and taking your game to the next level. It's all about reaching that next level here.
Will the Cardinals reach that next level? From 0-1, full coverage this week. Subscribe, like this video for Bo Brack, Brittan Golden, Craig Morgan, Damon, Dawg, Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.